What up, CBR fam?
Oh,
We
what
here
it
for
do?
another
Back
installment,
again. We back
another
again.
week with your boys. Back at it again. Hey man, I'm here to tell y'all before we start this one tonight. This is gonna be a fun one. But I'm not gonna get too far into it. We already been having fun with the videos and shit. We was having a good
What's
time
up?
this week. So yeah, Keno, you got anything you want to let the masses know? The masses and the
Um,
unwashed asses.
here we go, man. I don't know what episode this is, but thank you for rocking with us, man. The Chondro Heat boys. We bring another one to y'all. Y'all gonna like this one, man.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be real fucking fun.
Yeah. Other than that, man, me and Chevy Cucker, we back again.
Yo, this
Holding it
Travis
down.
Cut shit gotta fucking it's gotta die. There's no
We
Travis
holding it
Cut.
down.
There's no Travis Cut. There's no
Yes,
none of this shit.
we holding it down. Hey, go do your research on that Chevy Cucker. Do your homework on that.
So,
Y'all know who it is. Holding it down for them Tuesday nights. That Tuesday night,
the Legends
9
of
Central
Tuesday night.
demo. Shout out to our sponsor too, by the way, Chris at Inbox 3D. Chad, would you put his man up so
What's
eloquently how
up?
you do your thing? Hey, shout out to Trav. That's Money Fresh over there on the beat in Texas. Travis Fresh. He got money. That's the man of multiple names. Travis Fresh, Travis Cut Cuz, Travis Trav. It's a bunch of it's different hats that man wear.
You gotta
Dressed up
chill out with
Trav.
this. You gotta chill out with this Travis Cut. Travis Cut doesn't exist. There's no
Yeah.
Cut
Hey,
behavior.
look, if you fortunate enough, he'll bestow you with the preamble. Let you
What the fuck is the
again,
preamble?
again, do your research on that on Travis Cut Cuz.
There's no
Anyway,
Travis Cut.
it's really all I got to say, man. It's been
There's no Travis Cut, man. That's not a thing. Keto wants it to be a thing really bad, but it's
so
not.
we're gonna leave it there. If he's gonna deny. But no, man, it's been a beautiful week, man. Oh, one more thing before we get out here. Shout out to my son's football team, man. The Willie B. White Wolverines for Willie B. White Park. They 3-1, man. Very dominant defense. They out there killing. You know what I'm saying? My boy out there getting it in. So I appreciate that. I love my boy.
We can't wait
Show
till
my boy some
Khalil is
love.
big enough. We can't wait till Khalil is big enough to beat up his father. That's gonna be, a wonderful
That
thing.
ain't gonna never happen. That's
That is
not gonna never happen.
Hey,
Javi
Khalil,
Exotic, what up? Orange County, out of Salad.
yo, Michael George, you gonna stop calling me Slick Charles too? That's the second time you
Tuck,
did that
Randy,
shit.
Tyler Woods, what up? Jeff,
What up,
Marlon,
everybody?
what's going on, man? I see everybody up there. Mikey Marshall, man. Brian
Congratulations again,
man.
Brian.
Yeah, I was about to say congratulations to Brian, man. He just had that clutch hatch, and then he about to have another one coming up. So stay tuned for that, man. Daniel Boz, man. Shout out to Boz.
What's up, Boz?
We always be having our people from across the pond checking in on us too, dog. We grateful for them too, man.
Did this man call us the new Pretty Ricky?
Who?
Marlon.
I didn't see that.
It's on there.
Oh, what up, Pat? Pat up in, he said, yeah, we know you're here for this one. Dee, thanks for pulling up. Pat, I know you always gonna be here for them goats, man. Pat, you always. They the new Pretty Ricky. He wow. Who? He wow.
He is a goat. Pat is a goat himself.
Oh, I mean, everybody Pat knows go there, but it's like he really gonna come for them goats though,
Yeah.
he would have been around. You know, Pat always popping up for that. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Pat pop up when ain't nobody on too.
Yeah, he do. Pat still be here, and we
Shout out
appreciate
to
you,
Pat,
Pat.
man. Hey, you shut up, man.
We
I
appreciate you,
can't even
Pat.
put into words how much we appreciate Pat, man.
The
Just for
fact
being
that you
around
always show up
always.
for us.
Yeah, being my mentor for sure. He just had a birthday. He just turned 22. He
Who,
do a lot
Pat?
of yoga. Yeah, the yoga mobile. Got the yoga Cherokee out here flexing.
I thought it was a gladiator.
James up in here. I don't know who James is, but James. Shout out to James.
That's that's James. I think his last name is Wade Waddle. Wade something. Yeah.
James Wade Waddle.
J- yeah. James is good
Shout
people
out
though.
to shout
I
out.
talked to James last night.
All right, shout out to James then, you know. Thanks for coming back, James.
Pat
I
said
gotta
we
keep
help
you
keep him
sound for
sane
you stupid fucking baby.
while you feed.
22, baby, damn. we try, man. That's all we want to do, man. Y'all put us on the background and listen to us, you know, act like some assholes.
And
We get our green tree on.
we enjoy talking about snakes, but we also enjoy having fun with y'all. Like this is just this is a
Yeah.
wonderful thing. Every week we get to do and kick it
That's
with
one
y'all.
thing. That's one thing that we said we was gonna do. Whether when we came from IG, that we was gonna keep it fun, man. Keep this adulterated to the point where you come in here, let your hair down. I don't care how it's styled. You might have straight blonde hair. You might have dread hair. You might have African booty scratcher hair. But
I mean, you
whatever
could
hair
have a
you got,
Stevie Wonder. You could have
you
a
have a
half a
Stevie Wonder.
melon. You could
Yeah,
have a half a melon with spaghetti hanging off the back of that
you can
bitch.
have your hairstyle like Tuck. We tell you, come as you are. It's like church. Come as you are. You know? You come in here with
you
no. You come in here with no roof. You
you
come in
could
here with no
have
roof like Malcolm did. Like coming here with that Malcolm European special. He got he got the reverse, the sideways bowl.
you could have that mom. You can have that mom where it's kind of going bald in the middle, so all you do is swoop your hair to the other side. You can have that hair too.
Yeah.
We cool with it. We ain't got no problems with it.
You put a ponytail over it, and then you wrap the sock, you wrap it around the sock, and then you put a
I
yeah.
mean, you got Dee Dee over here. She probably joking on everybody with hair because Dee Dee got thick ass hair. Uh, Dee Dee got she got the werewolf scalp. She got a lot of hair. Not
She
saying
do
her
got.
hair look like werewolf hair. She got a lot of hair.
You saying Diddy look like a female werewolf? That's crazy. So look at Silla missing. Yeah, Randy. We know Randy that. Yeah. Randy got a 5 o'clock
Randy,
shadow on his head.
Randy got the 5-year-old elbow hair. Like he got a little bit of hair right here, and the rest of it's just bald. That's what Randy got. But anyway,
So his head look like a prepubescent.
I mean a little bit, but like on the elbow though, just on the elbow. Uh, but yeah, I ain't got nothing really going on here. Shout out to who else? I saw? Oh, shout out to Bill Siegel, man. Bill Siegel's a wonderful dude. Shout out to the bros, man. Shout out to Keno. Um, this week and the last couple weeks, me and Keno been really busy with stuff outside of snakes, but
For sure.
we've been making it happen because we love y'all. So
But shout
we
out to,
gonna keep doing it.
as you mentioned, Bill Stiegel. Shout out to Bill Stiegel. Bill Stiegel. This week in the fantasy league, I had to put that whooping on your ass. Monday night, we went into the fantasy matchup. Listen, Bill was up 150 at 127, and y'all know Bill was like, "Yeah." Last week he was like, "This week starts my comeback." Blah blah blah, talking all that Texas bullshit. Big Texas bullshit. And I just want to let y'all know somebody went off against Bill last night, dropped 35 on this goddamn head. It's a tall man, so that's a tall 35. Bill, you got that work last night. I just want to let you know with your ass, you are at the bottom of the fantasy league where you will stay. You are on your way to that champ stamp that you wanted to get. You said the last place got to get the tramp stamp, and I'll help you. I pulled out my shovel this week. What I did to you was I sent you home with 3 shoes. You feel me? And the third one was a third Texas boot up your ass. Thank you. Thank
Hey
you.
man, also man, shout out to Bill Hoffman. Bill Hoffman when he's on his meds, not Bill Hoffman when he not on his meds.
Bill
Oh
be acting
man.
a fool when he off his meds.
Yeah, y'all don't know Bill. Y'all don't know Bill like we know Bill. But yeah, man, you ready to get to
Bill
it?
Hoffman is a different man. Yeah, man. Let's bring James up
All
here.
right. So we got the legendary James Opdahl coming through. Let's hope he's still back here waiting backstage. Yeah, he's sitting right here patiently. What up, James?
Yeah.
What's up, fellas?
Hey,
What up,
how you doing
James?
tonight?
Doing good. You guys are all fired up.
Hey, we having fun. We know we gonna have fun tonight, James.
For real.
Right on. Right.
I got to have a pre-conversation with James on Sunday, and I enjoyed it. So I know that we had to do that sound check, but thanks, James. That was a lot of good information you gave out, and the collection that was cool too.
Yeah, you
Uh,
see some. I like right now. Like the lights are all off, and I got like just a single light up here. But uh, you know, there's like I got like 80 some animals right now that I'm caring for
it's a lot of
Man,
animals,
80 some
James.
animals. Jesus, man. You clean this shit every day, James.
every fucking day, man. Every
But
morning.
you got a job too, or this what you do with the snakes?
I do with the snakes, but I'm a carpenter by trade. Do a lot.
Damn, James.
I do custom furniture, woodworking, build a lot of lumber. I got on a sawmill, so I don't have any plaid flannel shirts, but you know I don't drink a lot of IPA, but I do mill a lot of lumber.
You wearing faded glory shirts?
Yeah,
I feel like James does. I feel like he probably does wear flannel shirts though. He goes on dates with goth girls. he
no
just wants
flannel
to
Oh
shirts.
man.
he just wants to look out of pocket with this girl.
I only
Looks
wear
Hey,
what it looks like.
shout out to our golf Green Tree Python keepers watching. We love y'all too.
Yeah,
I keep my top button. That's it. That's it.
just what cholo style. You rock your,
Fucking socks right to my knees,
rock your
motherfucker.
flannel cholo style.
There's some chucks. There's some chucks
Oh, I roll out on the
on
date.
house shoes.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
What's
you
up,
should dress
Aiden?
up real. He's the Jeff Hutchinson. I feel attacked.
Hey,
Hey man,
Jeff
if the
did.
shoe fits, if the shoe
Jeff did
fits, if the
he did have a
shoe
what's name
fits.
on, bro. He did have a flannel shirt on that Tim Lee.
Yo,
He had a long sleeve shirt on with shorts, with
And
cargo shorts.
sometimes I just bust out,
it, huh?
sometimes I just bust out like Pootie Tang.
I feel like that's probably too. I feel like you wear fake Versace shirts and
Oh shit!
go up to Andy's job and tell everybody you his dad and start asking for discounts on shit.
Andy's job. They'd be like, "Yo, get this skunk out of here."
Oh man. All right. All right. So let's get to it, James. So let's start from the beginning. Where you from? And when did you first get into reptiles in general?
Oh man. So I'm from New York. I'm from not upstate. I'm from Westchester, which is like 50 miles out of New York City, but pretty rural. And just started. Always was down with looking for animals, nature. So always in the woods when I was a kid. Started catching frogs, snakes, turtles, fishing every day, and I started collecting snakes when I was like 8 years old. So from there, I started, stuff like water snakes, racers, stuff like that, just local stuff. And Then I started. The first things I produced in captivity were corn snakes and boas. I think I produced boa constrictors for the first time when I was like 12 years old. And I think corn snakes when I was around the same age. And then some green snakes as well. But, after that, started getting more into boas and some of the other pythons. But my first green tree pythons were probably like almost 30 years ago when I started keeping them. But I only had a couple. I had just a adult import male that I had. That
Yeah,
thing,
how old are you, James?
53.
Okay. All right.
So, from an early age, I was doing this stuff, my whole life. So I never really got out of it. There was times when I don't think I ever not. I've been keeping snakes continuously. I always had some, but I thinned down to like just a couple of boas. Then I started getting green tree became a little more readily available. I started kind of getting into them and then started focusing on green tree pythons in 2009.
Okay.
So I think 2007 and then 2009 I produced my first clutch, and I've produced green trees every year since 2009.
Damn.
Okay. So how many
So what do
clutches
you
have you
mean?
produced?
Okay.
I don't know. To be honest, like you can ask Tommy and fucking Andy. Like my record keeping is fucking abysmal when it comes to having that data on hand. Tommy likes to mock, like, oh, that must be on the computer with the broken hard drive, But I mean, there's a lot of clutches. I mean, as far as babies, I couldn't even tell you how many neonates I produced, but I can tell you I got jars full of them that didn't make it.
Oh,
Damn.
shit.
I keep
So
telling
when
guys I'm saving them to make a lava lamp out of them.
That's terrible, but I guess so.
no, they'll move again though, bro.
Yeah,
Floating
I
GDPs.
must have 100 babies in rubbing alcohol, like easily that just either died in the egg or didn't make it out. But I mean that's over the course of years and years. But
And you gonna make lava lamps, and you said that you're not crazy.
I'm gonna make a lamp out of those motherfuckers.
From the same man. From the same man. So
Those-
you said you mentioned that you said when GTPs start being more readily available.
well, they
How
start.
was they before that?
I mean, they started. There was a time when like you just weren't. They weren't even being imported. So the first one I got, I found at a pet store. The guy just happened to have it as a pet for himself. And he said he'd give it to me for $1,000. And it was just like yellow Neo Lyra or something like that. I don't even know what it was. But I mean, I had that snake for like well over 20 years,
Hmm.
And I bred it to a female. I got eggs, but, one of those times when they come out of the nest box and scatter eggs everywhere and you come back 6 hours later and they're toast. So didn't make it. That was the pair I had. The second one, the female, I traded like literally a whole or half a litter of baby captive bred boas that I produced. I traded them to Kevin from Nerd. And I drove up there and picked out a female from him because he needed baby boas for his retail store. Because back then, I mean, comparatively, import prices like $1,000 was kind of like an average price for you could get nice adults for $1,000, but like even back then, I didn't know what I was looking at. Like I didn't know that what I was wanting were the red neo adult females, not the
Yeah.
you didn't know what was I wasn't like down with the whole like reptile shows, and I knew of the like lists for stuff, even price lists. Like you weren't seeing green trees back then, not much. So it's I mean, things have changed a lot. Like now you don't have the type of imports coming in that were readily available 15 years ago, 12 years ago. And some of the stuff that was coming in was like crazy looking stuff. And now you're just lucky to get like Arus and Biox and
that's true.
You don't see too many Cyclops stories or any of the stuff that I didn't getting. Especially the Cyclops. Kofiaus or whatever.
Wow, Cyclops. It's cool. I've been working on the Cyclops though, Jay, and I'm working on that. I'm working on all red Neo Colony.
I used to have some nasty Cyclops, man. Tommy, a picture of a pairing I did with my Sky Topaz male that I had here, and that Cyclops had huge white on her dorsal pattern. It was just the whole pattern, just big white flowers. And I remember I got babies out of it, but I think she kind of scattered the eggs. A couple hatched, but then they just fizzled out like immediately, which, something wasn't right. But the Cyclops are killer animals. Between those, Cyclops, Manicories, and Wymenas are like the three real good localities that I would like to use to produce like good blue stuff to outcross.
Yeah.
With. And I mean, I've had some of the locality animals turn blue, but it's mostly, if you can infuse that with blue line blood, then that's like my goal anyhow, to outcross like that.
So I got a question for you. What was the chondro scene like when you first started? When you first got your first chondro, like what was it like? And like, can you tell us a little bit about the old MVF days?
Well, I remember one of the main things is that it's trying to upload pictures onto that site, like a whole fucking task, every photo to do that. It was such a like undertaking, and I'm like hearted when it comes to this shit. So like back then I was like, damn. So to like post stuff on there, it was sort of a pain in the ass. You had to like import your photo from this photo bucket thing, I remember, and it was just like but it was cool in the fact that it was a good platform where there was people always posting different threads on this page where there was good conversations that you can I think you can still look into all those different posts, but
yeah, you can still see them. Some of the pictures are broken on them, so you can't see the pictures.
You can't see half of that stuff. That's too bad because like there was crazy shit on there. So once I found that page is when I started trying to get in touch with some people. People would post some stuff for
Alan on bullshit.
Who's Alan?
I don't know, man.
I don't know who is Alan. It's not Alan, so I don't know who Alan is.
You don't my glasses, bro.
Alan?
I don't fucking know who he is.
You guys were acting like that. This was like some sort of secret lover.
Nah, I don't know, man. He don't like know him. I don't know him.
Who's Alan?
That's the new question of the night. Who's Alan?
Some young guy. Some young guy.
Some young guy.
So so anyhow, on the Morelia forum is I was buying some animals like from importers and stuff on King Snake, local animals to start trying to grow out to breed. And then the first real nice animal I bought was a blue line male from Tim Morris, and that was
Shout out to Tim Morris.
yeah, Timmy the Legend Morris. So Tim, I reached out to him, and there was a lot of people that wanted that animal, and I scraped up the money to get it. It was expensive for the day, and so I was able to buy it, and I drove down to meet Tim, and we started hanging out, and he took, I think it was might have been the same weekend of a Chondro Fest, but I want to say it was either Chondro Fest or yeah, I think it was. And then we also went to the barn where Christian was basically everything over there, Christian Stewart, and got to see like that sick ass collection. So the barn, you know, meeting those guys basically got me, stoked on the whole. I'm gonna just do green tree pythons.
What
So,
year was this?
I want to say it was like 2007, 2008, something like that.
Dang.
Um, so yeah, that was when, there was still like there was a lot going on with green trees then. Christian they had an extensive collection down at the barn. There was a lot of animals that were on like permanent loan over there from like all these different collections. And, Christian still has some of the most killer animals in the hobby. I mean, between Christian, D, John Irby, Tommy, they've got some epic animals between them. So
Yeah, John Irby. Yeah, we had John Irby on.
yeah, John's a good dude. We
Yeah.
John and I helped put together Christian's new mini barn at his house when he moved from the barn, and we basically divided half of his garage and insulated it and did all that shit to make like a nice facility for him at his house there. And Irby came up from Virginia, and I think it was like the hottest damn weekend on record, man. It was like 100 degrees. I remember I was blottoed the night before we started working. Dude,
James, can we stop this?
Morning, and it was like just getting light out, and it was already like 88. I was just like, Jesus, this is horrible. And but without John there, man, like we weren't gonna get that place done, man. I mean, we knocked it out, but it was rough, man, because it was so hot, and I think I was going hard the night before. Yeah, it was. I think Tommy even was there. Oh, because it was bad. I know what happened now. I had already like went to it, and then Tommy showed up and like put a bottle of Captain Morgan's on the table, and that thing was, I killed that thing by the end of the night. It was.
Are you
Yeah.
saying you got peer pressured into getting fucked up before you had to build a bar?
I wasn't peer pressured. He just put it there.
I like how you like to still say that it's his fault.
No, it wasn't his fault. Nah, I was well aware of what I was doing. But it came out nice. I mean, everything, that was just the beginning of that. We had to frame out walls. We had to sheetrock. It was a lot of shit work, So we got a lot of it done. We were there working on it for like 2 days, I think. But yeah, Christian's produced a lot of stuff out of there since then.
Well, it's good that y'all went out there and helped them. I mean, the Chondro community is always, everybody's sticking together, so that's good.
Yeah,
He's-
whatever you can do to
He said blotto.
block.
He said blotto. He did say
Yeah.
that.
Is that? I've never heard that term before.
Oh, well, if you look in the dictionary, you might see a familiar face.
I'm gonna look it up now.
So,
Let's see
how
it.
you? Where we was at? What the fuck? Get back on track, man. What else we have with the questions? I forget.
You
Oh
said
shit!
you you said you wanted me to ask another question.
Where was we at? I forgot where we was at. Where
We're
was
talking
you at
about
in the timeline?
we were talking about the early days, and we were talking about the MVF. And did you have to? Was it really shitty for you to like you
Okay.
know have to check every word and all the punctuation of your MVF posts?
No, there was none of that. There were some people were tearing people's asses apart on there sometimes, but more or less it was pretty cordial. But once in a while, you get some shit going on that
You
was
had some real talk on that though. You had people like exposing people.
yeah. There
It
was
wasn't none of this soft ass bullshit where
yeah.
he can get over and let them keep posting and selling. No,
There wasn't
they call your ass out on that.
moderators really to too much on there, as
No,
far as I recall.
no, it wasn't.
I was in no position to be talking smack about fucking anybody. You know, I was fairly new on there, and I would just most of the stuff I would post on there is when I finally started producing things, or
Yeah,
you know, having some stuff that I wanted to try to sell, or people's opinions on how to do certain things. But you know, when you have different people, like right now on Facebook and stuff, you people ask a question and you're getting 30 different answers from 20
People that
people
don't know what the fuck they talk about,
a
basically.
lot of the time. I mean, there's people that do know what they're talking about, but then there's people that have no
yeah,
clue. If
Yep.
nobody knowledge chimes in, they're stuck with that, you know. So
Yeah.
it's a shit show essentially. So it's uh it's just a matter of how to get through the crap information to get to something good. But I don't know how many people are out there that really know what they're doing, and then there's a lot of people that are just real quiet and don't say much.
mm,
I don't say much
that's
on
true too.
any of that stuff anymore because I'm sure there's other people that can walk them through it. So and all that posted information on Morelia, I mean, it's there. So like the
Yeah,
base
it is.
there
Yeah.
when you come on and you say, "Oh, I did all my homework," and you're like, "Where's that information?" It's literally the first thing you see, and you
Yeah.
read it. So
So
Pat
how'd
wants
you
to
take?
know.
Go
Pat
ahead.
wants to know
Go ahead.
what your MVF screen name was. I think he searched for Blotto 75 and he couldn't find it. So he just know what your screen name was.
I might name a snake Blotto.
So how'd you take all that information in from the MVF and put that with your first clutch? Like, what was your first clutch to
I,
hatch out
I
for green
take
trees?
much of it from MVF. I took it from uh, luckily I had some people uh, that were really, really very helpful, like between Christian and Tim Morris and
Okay.
Speedy Gonzalez. I don't know if you guys ever
I
knew.
remember Speedy Gonzalez. Yes, I
Yeah,
remember that name.
Speedy
Yep.
was a good dude, man. Rest in
Yep.
peace. That guy was he was a
Yeah.
fucking
Rest in peace with Speedy.
yeah, he was a good guy, and he actually helped me through the first two clutches because I had real shitty incubator, and it was had a fan that was just cranking much too much air through the thing, and the eggs were like drying out. And you get that fucking fan out of there. He's like, he was a funny dude, man. He didn't mince words or anything, man. He was a funny guy. I remember he had a table at Hamburg, and somebody asked him, they're like, asking him why his green tree python was so much money, and he could buy a ball python for $20 to next. He like literally was over the table trying to choke this guy like, yo, Speedy, chill. He's like, motherfucker. Yeah, good dude, man.
That is a prevalent thing.
I
If you
got
have to sell chondro, is when you talk to the ball python people, they're just like, I don't want to pay that much. It's just like, okay, well, go buy a fucking ball python or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Like, I don't understand why you think this will be the same. And then like the people that talk about the morphs, there's no fucking morphs here, man. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, that's
That's just
kind
my
of
little rant.
there's you can the amount of phenotypes that you can produce with green tree literally unlimited. I think that we've barely tapped into the potential phenotypes with green tree. I
You
think
think so?
yeah, I mean, all the stuff you could be doing with yellow neos that hasn't been done because a lot of people have concentrated on just reds.
I agree.
But I
Yeah.
mean, besides the high yellow stuff, I think that you could get extreme calicos from yellows. You could probably get high melanistics from yellows. I mean,
I got one. I got a Jamaica. Jamaica got a lot of black on her.
yeah,
Some
all things, man, could be producing crazy stuff.
Hey James,
she's
your
she's
audio's
from the black she's
cutting
from
out
the
a little
Black
bit.
Pearl.
Is it?
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit.
How do I resolve that?
It sounds fine right there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, she's from the Black Pearl line though. She's yellow Neo with the black blood on her.
Oh, from John Leckie?
Yeah, from John Lackey.
Yeah, I mean that Black Pearl line. It's funny as shit because like some of those snakes get really, really nice. They do go from like yellow to like real dark. And I had one. I think Tommy had one also, but it was beautiful. I remember we bought it. I bought this snake from the ICAST show, the arboreal show down in Maryland,
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
from John. And I think it was a black pearl on it, and the thing was black. It was just black, but that fucker turned like the most bright green color. And he's got some killer stuff. I just didn't, I didn't luck out on that one, but it
Okay.
was funny. It was funny because I named that thing the green weenie, man, because that thing was just fucking green, man. Bright green.
Yeah.
And it was completely patternless, turned like just green. But he just had a killer clutch, man. Did you see that? Those really like high
Yes.
melanistic animals.
Yes.
I think he's gonna let him grow out a while before he offers any of that. But they're
Let me
really,
see my one.
man.
Yeah, he usually keep them for like about a year or two.
Yeah, they're badass. I really like those animals, and that's the kind of stuff that I think is all possible. Like there's those different bloodlines, like those. What's the bloodline out of Europe that's like tricolor?
The Glazer.
Yeah, the Glazer line. I really
Yeah.
like that stuff, and like the one animal from that line that's just ridiculous. It's like white and brown, and it has that crazy pattern.
Yeah, I know that's just the one you talking about. Yeah, it was like crazy as Neo, and it
Yeah,
kept that. It was like purple looking color. It looked like a banana ball python or something.
yeah, it didn't even look like a tree python, but
Yeah.
I mean, think about the potential of an animal like that, and then putting that with something from like a calico blue bloodline. I mean,
Oh, hey, look, shh, don't let me keep my secrets. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to mix the oxybol with the calico with the black pearl. Watch.
there you go. That oxbill from Brian Fisher. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope he can find another one because I'd love to see those locality those are some monster animals, and they're interesting because they have some melanistic traits to them.
Yep.
But
Yep.
there's stuff like that. There's all this stuff that hasn't been done yet. I mean, there's been
Yep.
a big concentration on the blue lines. There's been a big
Mm-hmm.
concentration on trying to get the high blacks. I mean, I would like to get. I'm working on trying to do high black calicos, and Christian and Herbie. I got one from Tommy and Christian's clutch, the Velvet. That is probably. I mean, I'd say across the board, one of the best clutches ever. Every animal, it seems, from that clutch is just epic. Just
Is
incredibly.
that blue animal that you got on your page?
I just did a video. I just ran a reel on it the other day, and one of mine is like, it looks like it's going pretty much blue, but Tommy and Herbie have got some of the nastiest ones. Andy's got one. Every animal, every snake from that clutch. It's the Velvet, which is the calico blood to Tommy's signature female, which is a blue.
Yeah, I seen that one.
Blue female. So, like, as far as I see, that's one of the best clutches across the boards, where every animal is just outstanding in the clutch. So I think Christian's gonna try that pairing again this year.
Aiden wants to know, do you have those Wamena Highland animals that you got from Ed Bradley, who is Aiden's uncle?
The female that was from, I only had one animal from Bradley, and that was female Highland Wamena type. The other animals that I had, a Wamena female that I actually bought from, he went under Mike on the Morelia forum back in the day. Morelia forum. And I think it was maybe a Bushmaster import, but it was a legit Wamena animal. And that was my female that I bred to a Highland type male. That was the basis of those Highland Wamena animals. That Highland male was undocumented, and I bought it from some guy in North Carolina that was supposedly a vet. He said somebody produced it that was breeding blue line papers on it. I was like, yo, it looks good. I'll buy it. It was like $7. And that's the male that I bred with my Keith Thompson blue and black line female to produce Lagatha. So those are other bloodlines that you don't see too much of. Keith Thompson's blue and black bloodline. Keith also has stuff from Jim Vargan, who is out in California. Some of that Jim Vargan stuff is very common anymore. I don't think I even have any of it left. The Al Zulich bloodlines, you don't see too much of that. I had one that had a good amount of black on it, and it was a yellow, and it was like a black, green, and yellow calico kind of animal. And I don't know if maybe what's his name has some of that blood. John Leckie. I'm not sure if any of that.
I had to check and see.
I don't know if he has any of that Al Zulich, but he might.
Where does the crown worm?
Crown worm came out of Big Worm. That's Joe Sabia's. And that was, I believe that was the Matrix Phase blood, but there might have been some Lemon Dream blood in that one. It might have been like Matrix Phase on one side, Lemon Dream on the other. Joe had a bunch of high yellow stuff. He had a female that was the Lemon. Actually, it was Lemon Dream Al Zulich on one side, and I took that snake on breeding loan. And I bred it to my Aru Biak female, and that animal, one of the nice offspring from that, just produced a clutch for Rod. Do you guys know Rod?
No.
Yeah, Rod Love.
Yeah, more.
Oh, for more
Yeah, we
arboreals.
met him
Yeah,
at
I know.
Assembly.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, so he just produced a clutch with that animal that I produced here. And that has the Alzulich blood, Lemon Dream blood, Aru Bia, and I can't remember which one he put it though, but it was a badass pairing. He got some killer animals out of it. So that's you know, there's some like more obscure bloodlines out there. The that Wamena Highland stuff. I mean, if you put those Wamenas or Highland animals with the blue line stuff, that was even better results. I put Wamena Highland female that I produced that was blue to my Blue Deuce Biak, and I got some like really killer blue animals from that. Like just going straight to blue. Like really, really nice.
Wow.
I got some other stuff that was like high melanistic from it. So those are good bloodlines. I still think if you're outcrossing it with some blue line animals, like you get a more extreme result from like a blue line male to those females, but not every one of those animals is going to hit blue. I mean, because there's when you just are doing the localities, like there's extremes in the phenotypes, like cyclops animals. There's cyclops females that are just green females. Then there's cyclops animals that are completely blue. They're like literally what you would call a super blue. And then there's a little bit of everything in between with the maniquaries as well. I mean, there's maniquaries that have killer dorsal patterns, but they're not blue. And then there's animals that are completely blue, and it's not hormonal. And then I had that one female that was a maniquari that was just crazy looking. She went from a regular blue color to that like blue jeans look, blue color.
Yeah, denim looking girl.
She was nasty, but
Now, how'd you get her? Did you raise her up from a baby, or how'd
no,
you acquire her?
she was an import. She was just an imported animal. I got her she was probably, I don't know, maybe she was like 4 years old, 5 years old when I got her. And she just got crazier and crazier as time went on. She could have been much older, but I mean, I'm thinking she was probably 5 when I got her. But then again, you never know. If it's an imported animal, it looks like a 5-year-old, captive bred, but it could have been 10.
True.
She wasn't fat. Yeah.
Well, so we went down memory lane. So can we talk about husbandry from
Sure.
when you started, and like the changes that you've made to husbandry over years, and different phases and things that you've learned?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I had built some enclosures that were a little bit bigger, or a lot bigger. They were kind of like more display enclosures for my green trees. I had them made out. When I started making enclosures, I was using like melamine and stuff like that. It was heavy as shit. That's how I basically got into woodworking, because I needed to, because I wanted to make these enclosures that were like custom for what I needed. But then I figured, the vision cages, I started using those, the Vision 222s. So I had a ton of them actually. So the vision cages were not that well insulated, and possibly for the ambience that I had in the room that I'm in, still same room, but I was keeping the ambient a bit lower. I was using the heat panels, the Pro heat panels from the start. I had probably the first. I was using Herpstats when I could. I was using some other types of thermostats as well, but I was probably cycling them around the same time of year in the fall, but I was probably dropping the temps much lower than I needed to, and I was probably missing them a lot more during that period of time. So I was getting fertile clutches, but I'd also have clutches that were slugging out. But the one thing I can say is that some of the best clutches I had were from imported animals that were not even, that long in the country, and I'd get big clutches and they'd be completely fertile. Like some of the biggest clutches I had were for a big import female, 24, 26, 28, full hatch, completely no slugs from these locality animals that were in.
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask you that next. Kind of compare that to your locality breedings. Compare that to your locality outcrossing with the designers and your pure designer projects.
Yeah.
Also, clutch size and infertility. What are you seeing infertile wise?
Well, I mean, knowing more now, I feel like my ambient temperatures and, a lot of this stuff, like I talked to Christian about a lot of this stuff over the years, and he was, basically telling me how to tweak my ambient temp to work in correlation, or in unison rather, with my heat panels and my herp stats, because what he's saying is that if you have a baseline of ambient in the room that's slightly higher than your heat panels on the herp stats, when they're set, they're not going to push as hard to get to that set temperature. So they're not your surface temps on the panels are not going to be as hot. So you're not, sometimes basically one of the things you were saying potentially was you could have females that are parking themselves during gestation that are getting too hot because the heat is being pushed out too hard of these panels to get up to that temperature, because ambient is not high enough to to kind of set the difference a little bit. But he's also on the same idea, is that you may get females that don't want to go under it because it is too hot and they're staying on the cold side, and now they're gestating at too low of a temperature. So, and I've temp gun the face of the heat panel, and when my ambience they were pushing harder. So basically, I think that's part of the reason.
Yeah, Chuck.
What's that?
No, you just said what's up to Chuck. That's all. Go ahead.
That's part of the reason why I'm getting slug animals that would slug out. But the other thing that I think is potentially a problem is that so I got a ultrasound. So with the ultrasound, you can check if the females are growing follicles, right? But females grow follicles, and then potentially, if there's no action, they reabsorb them. So if you see that they're at like 8 millimeters, 6 to 8 millimeters, I talked to Socrates a bunch about this because he was using an ultrasound. My thought was, all right, well, yeah, if we can figure out when the optimum time is and see the follicles, and you can see them, it's not that hard, but you have to keep ultrasounding them if you catch them when they're small, grow it, then you can, if you put the male in there, you'll get a fertile clutch potentially. But say you catch them at 6 to 8 and they're going down, she's already reabsorbing them. So you may just get slugs because they're already deteriorating. So, I mean, Socrates, I don't know what his methods are, but I think what he's doing is that he's ultrasounding multiple times to make sure that uptick of growing follicles, not deteriorating follicles. So it's a difficult process. I mean, for me, he may have it down where he can do it, but I usually get Andy, if he'll come over, we'll ultrasound stuff. But in order to get, you need more than one reading in order to get it right. So, I mean, there's different factors involved in trying to cycle the animals to get the female to the point where, you get the male in there at the right time. But if you get the male in there at the exact wrong time, that's when you're going to get slugs or just unfertile eggs, you know. And I'm, like I said, I'm not a fucking expert at this shit, man. I'm just I'm just trial and error. So, but I think I'm not Johnny Biology, as Tommy would say. So I don't know of the actual development of the follicles and stuff, but it would seem to me that if they are not fertilized, being reabsorbed or deteriorating, that if you're catching it on that down tick, they're not going to be good because they're already breaking down. So that's how I would assume that's one of the reasons you could get slugs. So, but I think the temps and stuff, the regiments that Christian works with are really good, and I think he's got it down to a science pretty much over the years. But I mean, I think other, so many different methods seem to work. I mean, people are having more success than ever with producing green tree pythons, it seems. So, everybody is going to use what works for them. I mean,
right.
In different parts of the country, you've got different scenarios. And, in Florida, you got to, either have a really cold basement somewhere or run air conditioning. And that's a whole other challenge. So between, your methods of keeping them, some people use ambient room temps and that's it. Some use ambient with a pad or a light, and it's whatever works for you. Bioactive of that.
Have you ever tried bioactive or maternal incubation at all?
So you're gonna love talking to Tim Morris because Tim has done maternal incubation on multiple clutches of the original Blue Line animals, the founder animals. So you could definitely talk to Tim about that. I've never done maternal incubation, but I think that you could keep these animals bioactively. But I think you need if you're going to have like a planted bioactive enclosure, for an adult green tree, it needs to be a much larger enclosure. like a 4x4x2 enclosure for a single animal, because they'll just wreck it. They'll just wreck the place. And I think that because if to keep it bioactive, you need to have that larger environment, because if you're trying to keep a bioactive environment with a smaller enclosure, it's just going to be it's really too big of an animal for a small space to have it bioactive and work properly. So I think people have to learn how to be an expert at keeping a bioactive terrarium or paludarium or whatever they want to do before they include an animal into it and make it thrive. Because, with a bioactive environment, you grow bacteria very quickly. You could have humidity that's way too high. You could have, heat that's either too high or too low for the animal. So if you can successfully create a bioactive, terrarium that thrives, then I don't see why not. But I tried putting plants in with some of my larger animals, like the bromeliads, in with like some of the scrub pythons and stuff, which literally weren't like doing that much romping around. As soon as I put those plants in there, they just wrecked the place. They're like, what the just start ripping it apart. Yeah, they laugh.
Hey, your audio's cutting out again. Is your
Yeah, I'm
phone
just
sitting on
cutting
the
out on me
stand at
too.
all? Is your
It was
phone
just
sitting on the
sitting on the
stand at all?
table.
Oh, that's probably why. If it's sitting on the table, that's probably why the audio is like that.
Yeah, so
Like if it's covering up the mic hole, it'll mess up the audio.
oh, maybe it was. So yeah, I mean, you can keep them any way you want as long as it's done well. You know, it's
Yeah,
if you're paying attention to your animals, and I
Yeah,
mean, it's all basically attention to detail with these things. I mean, if you're keeping an eye on what's happening, you'll be good. But if you're checking them every 3 or 4 days or something, you're screwed. Especially like babies. I mean, these little things can get into some trouble like overnight. If you don't check them every morning. You
yeah,
know, and
yeah, hell yeah.
they just shit their brains out anyhow. So it's like you got to clean them like every other day. So
yeah. Sometimes you gotta clean them back to back days.
yeah, they like when you clean it because it gives them a new palate to shit up.
Oh man, that fresh Neo shit is fucking gross. It's all
Yeah,
slimy and shit.
I agree. I agree,
It's
man.
fucking gross.
yeah, and that's like another thing. Like some of
And that
those
shit don't
beef.
stop. It's like every other day it's coming to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's because they're just not eating what was originally meant for them as babies, and um, they get. I think it was Christian that maybe said, try to get them onto fuzzies as soon as you can, because and I may be wrong in this, but I thought that he was saying that maybe the fuzz helps the digestion a little bit, and it's beneficial instead of just
The
the
fuck?
like the
Yeah,
fuzz.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's like no rhyme or reason really to like some of some neos just will prolapse out of the blue. Um, and I haven't heard a legitimate reason from anybody quite yet why that happens. Um, I mean, I've been told that potentially the temps for the babies are too low, but it just seems to be certain clutches, and because if you keep one clutch at that same temperature in your neo rack and 100% no problems, all eating, shitting, no prolapse, nothing, and then another
Mm.
clutch comes in, and you know overnight you see two prolapse like for no apparent reason. So, and then
How often? I
sometimes,
mean, how fast would you see in the prolapse?
I mean, I had my two best animals that were my holdbacks for the Highland Wamena. They were the sickest looking animals. They were jet black with like lime green diamonds. And both those animals first they weren't good eaters, and then they were prolapsing. And I was just fucking finally out. And this was early on from the get-go. All the others were great eaters, no troubles at all. And then but then some will go for months with not a problem, and all of a sudden prolapse. And there's just like really no rhyme or reason like what's going on. I don't really think it's because they're too warm or too cold, or I mean, maybe it's something to do with their not digesting it properly. Maybe there's something being taxed on their system because it's, you know, not the real food source. I mean, it's weird. Like it's these things aren't eating what they were meant to eat. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, people say like, oh, these 2 or 3 out of the whole clutch are real difficult eaters. They're fucking pain in the ass. They don't want to eat. You know, maybe they're the smart ones.
All right. So let's take on breeding, and like your breeding process, you know, from A to Z. And what did your breeding process look like back in, like, you know, 2009 versus how it looks today? And it could just be anything, like all
Well,
the things that you've gone through.
well, I mean, I know that, you know, I knew that I needed to cool to cycle. I knew that much when I started. So I was probably cooling them more than they needed to, but I think I was having more across the board lockups with them quicker when I was cooling them a little harder and misting them a little harder during that cool down period. So like from that, I mean, things kind of evolved to not cycling them down as low. And I probably only bring them down to like 72 at night, 70. And I'll still mist and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
what was the other part of that question?
Just, you know, how things have changed, and like your breeding process from, you know, from cycling to actually, you know, incubating eggs to separating, just everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What you doing food cycling too? If you want to add that into that.
yeah,
Yeah, and light cycling.
I don't really do any light cycling. I really don't change that. I usually basically run like a 12 on, 12 off kind of a scenario, but I do drop the night temps in the fall. So I'll drop the night temps down. Once I've had the night temps drop down for about a month, I'll start pairing up males with females. And, you know, depending on, you know, what kind of action I'm getting from them, I'll just let them go and start breeding. I'll feed less during the breeding season. But when, like, I'll separate the pairs to feed after a couple of weeks. So, like, I usually won't feed anything for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then I'll break up the pairs when they start to separate. So that's like kind of when I'll pull the males out, put them back, and then I'll try to feed everybody to see if who's gonna eat. I'll feed the females and the males smaller food items throughout the whole process until I see some sort of development or some sort of success with the female, and then I'll give her a slightly larger meal to try to influence her to develop. So maybe that, I mean, I don't know if it works or not, but it seems to help that you give them a little extra boost of protein during that development, that it's going to help the follicle development and ovulation. Which I'm not, I don't really pull them off and fast them, so to speak. So, I mean, some people do. So food cycling, I mean, I kind of feed them a little heavier in the spring and summer, and then I start to cut it back, but that's just the way it works, because it's during the breeding season anyhow. And if I have stuff paired up, it's not going to be easy to feed. So, I mean, I did some stupid shit one night. I had I was trying to feed some of the animals, and the lights had just gone off, and I had I had a female. Which one was it? I think it was a Vinsky female, and she was always hungry, this thing. And I somehow saw her head up at the glass, and I was feeding the one next to her, and I'm like, oh shit, she's hungry. I'm going to give her something. So I opened it, and the moment I realized which one she was, I realized what I fucking did. I gave it to her, and she grabbed it, and then I realized she was still locked up with the male. She had the Andrew Amon male wrapped up with her, and she ate it so quick that he didn't even realize what was going on. But I thought I thought I was screwed, because I was like, these two are gonna kill each other right now.
No,
But
that's what good
he was
coochie is.
literally
You don't.
locked up with
Well,
her, and she ate it.
That's that good coochie. When you're in good coochie, you'll take a lot of abuse.
Fucking multitasking. I couldn't believe it, man. I thought I was screwed. But I'll tell you what, that same snake met a fucking horrible end at the at the hands of a female I named Rosie O'Donnell.
Well, Rosie O'Donnell is a bitch, so I mean.
This was a hateful creature, man. I'll tell you, dude. It was a female that I had on breeding loan from Tim, and they were locked up, and she was a beautiful blue female, but she was nasty. And
this the female that the him opinions of the male.
Yeah, that's the one. Ripped.
Go ahead.
Dude, this poor bastard.
Oh, I felt sorry for you the first time I heard this story.
Yeah,
Damn,
she took a fucking nastiest shit in that water, and I was trying to like wait until they broke off to get it out of there, but it was fucking been like a day, and I was like, I gotta get this thing the shit out of here. So I just opened the glass just a little bit to start to get the water bowl out, and she just yanked her tail like away from him when I did that, and yanked his hemipenes out. So as soon as it happened, I was like, oh my God. So I was like, all right, well, they went back in, but then the next day I just saw this nugget, like this lump in his cloaca, and I'm like, holy shit. So I brought him to my vet, and as soon as we started fucking with it, like the one hemipene just like blew out, and it was like this giant, like black and blue swollen. And he's like, holy shit. He's like, what the hell happened? And I'm like, fucking Rosie O'Donnell ripped his cock off.
I see her doing that in real life.
Yeah, dude. So he's like, holy shit.
Not even being provoked either. Just do it to do it.
Yeah. So this nasty thing fucking ripped it out. And it was like basically necrotic. It wasn't necrotic yet. So like what we did is, because it wouldn't go back in, we had to reinsert it. And then we gave it like a stitch to try to keep it in on the from the cloaca. But what happened was it became necrotic in there, and it literally, his freaking junk just fell off. So this poor snake, like I think we ended up cutting the one off, and when you do that, the snake's done as a breeder because the scarification, I think it makes it so neither one will work anyhow. So what was happening was the snake was just like had no control over him. He would just sit there like urinating on himself like constantly. And it was just a fucking mess. Like it was not healing up properly, and with any antibiotics and everything. So I ended up having to just euthanize him. So it was like, there's some messed up shit like that happens, like that people don't really see.
True.
I remember I came home one night, and it was like I got home late. It was like 1 a.m. or something. I had a Biak female, and she had started laying and prolapsed her oviduct. So she had her oviduct out. One of the two oviducts was out like 1.5 feet, and she had eggs inside of it, and it was wrapped around a perch with eggs hanging in the oviduct with her. And this animal was so it must have been in a lot of pain because she was so aggressive. Like I was never been bloodier from this, but like I had to just grab her out of there and pull her out. And I remember and it wasn't the end of the oviduct, it was like it was in and out like a loop. So I had to put like a pinhole in the oviduct and pop the eggs through this hole. It was almost like they would just squeeze out and pop out of this pinhole, and it would snap back shut. But like I remember when I finally got it back in, there were still eggs inside of her, and I was palpating them out. And normally you can get them out with no problems, but she was really in bad shape. And there's a main artery that's at the base of the tail, the cloaca area, where I think there was just too much pressure. I remember on the last egg coming out, I think I saw a significant amount of blood. Like she basically ruptured something when I was trying to get the last ones out, and she ended up dying. She was a really, really nice animal too. But that shit happens. I mean, there's no reason, no rhyme or reason to it. It just, some bad things can happen when you end up having a lot of animals. You see a lot more stuff. So, when people are like, you have like a good clutch, it's great. But when you have some bad shit happen, it sucks.
Yeah.
But there's ups and downs with this stuff. It's when you can produce a killer clutch, that's awesome. So those are the high points. But there's what else? There's
actual incubation. So how do you incubate?
well, I do the non-substrate method. So I just use like an inch of water, and I have like the egg crate material, and then I put another one inside of there with the eggs. I usually incubate around like 87.2, 87.4 in that realm. But even with like it, but the thing is that even with like my herp stat set at that temperature, 87.4, and then I have a thermocouple that says one thing, and then I have a laboratory thermometer that says another thing, and then a temp gun. So I kind of just split the difference. The most important thing is having it stable and not fluctuate. So whether it's at like 87 degrees or 80, 89 degrees, it's like, you can have three different things be half a degree or a quarter of or a tenth of a degree off. And it's the most important part is keeping it stable, no fluctuation. And I have some water basins I put in there that basically keep the humidity as high as possible. So, I mean, that's the simple answer to incubation.
What is incubator? You made it yourself?
Uh, it's an old laboratory incubator that the actual control panel is shot. So I ended up rigging a Herpstat 1 to it, and I put heat tape in there, and it's fully insulated and everything. So it's a really nice incubator. It was like a $20,000 incubator that's busted. So I just redid it with a Herpstat, and it's been working great for the last like 12 years, 13 years. But
do you change temperatures at any point in time during the incubation?
I don't, because basically once I have a single clutch in there and I have a second clutch coming, I got to put them in there. So if there's one on the back end, I can't drop it down at all to accommodate what I have to have it the same. So I just do like a straight cook method. But if you have good eggs and you have it set up properly, they should all hatch. I mean, so the last clutch I had was 100% hatch. They hatched out on day 54, 55, and sometimes they take like 2 days, 3 days to come out of the eggs. I mean, they start pipping, but the longer they stay in there, the better. If you see them pipping, just leave them the fuck alone.
So you don't cut?
Not anymore. Not anymore. If they're gonna come out, just I mean, say after the first one pips and they're not all pipped within 24 hours, sometimes what I'll do is I'll open one up just a small enough amount so I can see if it's alive in there, and if it is, I leave the others alone. Because that's your baseline basically. If there's one in there that hasn't pipped that's alive, just leave it alone. Because you don't know where, I mean, think about it this way. The female, even during gestation, could have been sitting in a certain way where that one egg was underneath the perch and not growing as quickly in the process as the other eggs. And then in addition to that, where was that egg when they were laid, and how were they sitting? How long were they out? And then, these are just different things that may delay that egg from hatching. So, I mean, some of them take another day. So, if they're hatching, they're good. Just leave them alone, because the longer they stay in there and absorb all that yolk, the better. The last clutch I had, they were like, day 55 is pretty long, but there wasn't a speck of yolk in any of those eggs, and it was 100% hatched. They all pipped on their own, all came out on their own, and they not even umbilical, like nothing was connected to them when they finally came out. They were perfect. So like you'll have eggs that, sometimes you'll see the babies, if you're messing with them, they'll come out early and they don't have the yolk absorbed, and there's a lot of yolk in there and the umbilical is still attached. I mean, there's so much stuff that can go on that is going to be problematic later, and they're going to be weak. You want to come out with a full belly full of yolk, and then just
Keep going.
and then just leave them alone. Like, let them just sit there until their first shed. Um, I don't fuck with them. I usually don't um, even pull them out for anything other than cleaning, and that's it. I never pull them off the perch. I don't do anything with them until they're all well eating. there's just no need to, because like there's too much stuff that could set them back. Like as far as getting them started, I usually have really pretty good success with most of them. Uh, I usually start by feeding pinks that have chick down on them, because I'd rather have a good result the first time and get them all to take food the first time than not. So what I'll do is if I get them eating, I'll use the chick down for the first two feedings, and then I'll try to just immediately wean them off of the chick down. Um, and it usually works, you know. But I mean, I think there's a lot of trial and error when it comes to people feeding babies, because it's all about how you present it to them, and it's just something that you have to see. You can't really explain it. You can explain it a little bit, but there's ways to do it and ways not to do it, and it's just all trial and error. It's a little bit of practice.
I got a question for you. So when eggs are coming, um, do you see eggs that are infertile that aren't slugs, and like if so, like how do you deal with those? And do you think that there is a certain reason for getting infertile eggs that aren't necessarily slugs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with like Christian was saying, the temperatures, and if the heat panel is pushing too hard or not hard enough, that the female is there's that part of it, and then there's the part where I was trying to kind of came up with the hypothesis about the the timing when the male is actually um, breeding female, essentially at the end of a cycle where they're now deteriorating follicles. They're not on the uptick. So that's just a theory. I've know nothing to prove that part, but to me, it would make sense that you caught it at the wrong time. It was a cycle instead of the beginning of a cycle.
So what? So you get these infertile eggs. Do you just chunk them at first, or do you just let them go as long as you?
If they're well shelled eggs, but I don't see any vein development, um, when I candle them, I'll put them in there. But usually they're gonna crash within a week. But
Let's check on them cheering. That's all, y'all.
if your if your incubator is set up well, I mean you can have unfertilized eggs that look great for weeks until they crash. You know, sometimes they look good, but they're not fertile, or sometimes they're just really weakly veined. But um, another thing is that I think that if the temperature is slightly, well, if they're not parked under most of the females don't park themselves under the heat panel. They usually are kind of staying away from the heat until the end, Um, and when they do that, if they're growing those follicles, and after ovulation during gestation, if they're slightly slower, longer developing, you potentially could be getting much better vein development in those eggs. If it's real short, they could be weaker eggs.
So
So
I got another question, like concerning the heat panels and things like that, because you were talking about perches. So do
mhm.
you leave perches in the entire time, or do you take them out and just give them, like a box, or put them in the rack or anything like that?
I'll I mean I'll leave my perches in for the females, and even when they go into the nest box, I'll leave them in there in case they do want to come back out. But normally, a good female that everything's on track will go in that nest box after the prelay shed and park herself in there. Um, so I leave the perches in, and most of the time I have the perches like roughly around 4 to 5 inches away from the heat panel. But yeah, they have every opportunity to do whatever they do inside that enclosure, whether it's bask or go into the nesting box or whatever they want to do. But I usually keep the nest box at least at like 83 degrees, so they're not too hot, not too cold, kind of scenario where they're not going to dry out if the eggs are laid and I'm not home.
So do you take the water bowls out or offer supplemental heat to like the lay boxes at all?
Sometimes I put like a small heat pad on a thermostat with a probe like underneath the box material, so it's like roughly around 83, 84 degrees, but it's like usually the ambient is roughly that where it lays, so there's very little heat that's being generated by that heat pad. I'll take the water dish out once they or after that pre-lay shed, or they go into the box. There was one time where I had an Aru female, and she was well into the fucking box. Like she was into that. She already did her pre-lay shed, was in the box, and for some reason I didn't move the water bowl, and I have big like Sterilite size, like shoebox size water bowls that I use for the adults. That motherfucker, she came out.
Nah,
She came out
nah,
on the last day, went into the water, and fucking laid her full clutch of eggs underwater.
no, man.
But this is the best part, because she actually beehived around them, and she was sitting there with all the eggs underwater with just her nose above water over the eggs in a beehive when I found her. So when I saw this, when I came home, I just yanked her out of there and I dried all the eggs on paper towels, and like 5 of them hatched. They were all underwater for hours, a couple
Wow.
hours.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, a couple, like I think 4 or 5 of them hatched. They were pure, the only pure Aru clutch that I ever did, and it was crazy, man, because they were the only thing I can attribute it to is that they never hit the air and dried out and then got wet. They just like came out of her and they were wet until I dried them. Because when I dried them off, they stayed like nice and white, you know, when they dried up. It was crazy though. I was like, these things are toast. But they
Right.
hatch, so it's a weird thing that happened. So you never know.
I mean, you don't. Pastor has a tight beehive is sealed pretty well. So,
I mean, yeah, you gotta love a tight beehive. It's in a honey pot.
yeah, man, that's how you get caught up. That tight beehive will get your ass every time.
Yeah, it was like a frog
That
ass.
yeah, that beehive extortion. Um,
Beehive
so,
extortion.
so so you got a pretty extensive collection when it comes to some of the designer animals, and you've been breeding for a long time. So I was wondering this: did you ever intend to create your own sort of line? And if so, like, what are the type of phenotypes that you would look to have in that line if you did create?
I mean, I never considered like anything that I did being like a line. It's
Yeah.
just basically I'm taking what some of the localities, and taking some of the line, the blue line essentially, or calico blood, um, that was created, and infusing them into different localities that I like, that I think that actually improve upon some of the existing bloodlines. Like I definitely think like the Wamanas, the Cyclops, the Maniquaries are the three that I really feel contribute to improving or uh, basically extending some of the existing blue lines to outcross with those animals, and then bringing them back together in the next, another breeding is kind of like how I like to try to do it. But I don't know of like an actual like producing a line of animals. I kind of work with what I got and what I can get. And there's certain things that I like to do. Like I like, if I'm trying to work on high yellow stuff, I like the Arus and Beox. I love doing that. It's that produces some nice high yellow stuff, and I like the Highland to Beox stuff was awesome. That's a good group of things that I've been working with. That then you can put some of those animals to some blue or some calico and see what happens there. But I'm trying to make stuff that's either high blue, or blue and black is kind of like those are my favorite, blue and black. But I would love to make some crazy calicos that would be like blue, black, orange, brown, stuff like that. But the velvet blood that Christian, Irby, and Dave, Tommy, I've got some, Andy's got some. So that last clutch was Christian had 3 really good clutches with velvet. So, and I think they're all great, but I still think the one that's been the most prolific as far as across the board is from the Signal Herp to velvet. Those animals are going to produce epic offspring. If people put them to the right animals, there's going to be a whole like bunch of killer stuff coming up in the next 5 years. I mean, they're ridiculous. I don't know if you've seen some of the real. John Irby has some incredible snakes. He's got what's the name of that one? That it's the blue and what is it? Not Air Force One. It's the other one that Christian and
hold on, right.
Warzone. That's what Warzone. Warzone is nasty. So Warzone, I think, is velvet to what's that other female? I can't remember her fucking name. You need Andy on here to explain all your bloodline.
I didn't even see Andy's ass show up. I don't even know where Andy's ass is.
Cracker ass, little bitch.
Come on.
Where's that cracker ass little bitch?
I don't even know where Andy is, man. Andy's a good guy, man.
Andy's
He's just,
sleeper. He's
You
out.
think he's asleep?
Yeah, he's got to get up at like fucking 4:30 in the morning or something.
I gotta get up at 5. Shit.
So fuck. It's why can't I remember? It's not Golden Boy. It's the fucking.
Is it Banjo?
No, the name of the snake is Warzone, and Velvet's the side. I'm drawing a fucking blank. Anyhow, there's probably a bunch of people like, you idiot.
Yeah, they're probably just like, man, he would remember these things if he wasn't Blotto.
Yeah, Blotto. The point is that Velvet is like a killer, man. He really is. And like the clutch that Christian and Tommy produced, and those offspring are fantastic. I mean, the one I have is nice, but it's not nearly as nice as the ones that Christian, Irby, and Tommy got. Tommy has one that's like ridiculously super blue with a decent amount of black, but then Tommy's got one that's like very, very high black, very calico. Irby's got ridiculous ones. Christian has ridiculous ones. They're incredible animals. Like that's like that's the next generation of those calico type blood. That's going to just be mind-boggling offspring coming from those types of animals.
So you feel like the calico bloodline is gonna make, a very, very significant resurgence in the next few
It
years.
will, I think. I mean, the two of the best, some of the best animals from that were October and Prince. Had like some of the most killer blood that I know of, and Velvet is, from that lineage, I believe, to some extent, and it's just killer phenotype. It's extreme phenotype of high black calico coming out of that stuff. So we'll see what they look like. But I mean, every snake that I've seen is just intense looking animals. And Irby is diligently working on those things. So it's like between him and Dave D and Christian and Tommy's got some great stuff. So we'll see. I think it's going to be like, you're going to see some of the best stuff coming out of those lineages very, very in the next 4 years or
You
sooner.
mentioned Prince. Prince, he was a hell of a musician too.
Prince, yeah, he was, and he was taking them down like they were fucking. That's crazy.
Back in 1999.
Right? Little red Corvette.
That's all we need is for y'all to start singing Darling Nikki. That's all we need.
Oh shit.
But yeah, so like I guess it phenotypically wise, when it comes to the calico, the resurgence, do you expect to see these calico animals
Who's that
that
front
come
range? That
forward?
was Brian Fisher. I was thinking Brian too when y'all was talking about it.
When you see these calico animals that are going to be produced
What's
in the
up,
next
Brian
few
Fisher?
years, do you think they're going to look similar or different than the calicos that were produced like 15 years ago?
I mean, I think a lot of the calicos that were predominantly produced 15 years ago were very much more calico than these animals that are like, some of them are like really extremely high black, like just stick looking animals, man.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you guys some pics of some stuff, but they're ridiculous. Like they're just epic looking animals, and if they can be improved upon, I don't even know what the hell they're going to look like. But I think the only thing that could improve upon them is to try to infuse colors like oranges and orange color and stuff into it. Like it's weird because it's like you talk about ball python morphs and stuff, and then you talk about phenotypes in green trees. This is what I'm talking about, is that there's so many different morphs of like ball pythons and albinos and albino boas and stuff that's very predictable, but it's very unpredictable in green tree pythons. And I just don't think, like,
especially with the calico stuff.
Yeah, it's across the board. Like
the calico, you can throw black stuff, you can throw yellow stuff, you can throw stuff with orange necks,
and
you can throw blue stuff.
Yeah, there's weird stuff that goes on.
Keno like seeing necks getting thrown.
Well, there's.
What man don't? Man? Sometimes you gotta get that. You gotta have a rooster around. Nice chicken. That chicken. You know.
Chicken head.
Chicken,
Chicken head minutes.
menace.
You know,
You
back
gotta
in the
have a
day,
chicken head menace.
Jazz, back in the day, Nelly made that song, the chicken head dance. You was doing the chicken head.
Who?
It
Who
was
was
big
doing
in
the chicken
St.
head?
It was big. It was big in St. Louis.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Vocal jeans, babe, apple
Apple
bottoms,
bottoms.
yeah.
Apple bottom.
Chicken
Band-Aids
head
underneath.
dances.
Band-Aids underneath
Yeah,
the eye. Air Force
yeah,
Ones.
yeah.
Jerseys turned backwards.
Oh shit.
That was
See
a
it.
time,
Let's
man.
see it. Post them up.
Vocal jeans, big jersey, custom Air Force Ones. Shout out to back then.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
James, you ever had a custom pair of Air Force Ones, James?
I never have.
you never had a custom pair? You gotta get your custom pair of Air Force Ones.
Air Force Ones. I don't even know what that is.
Shoes.
Air
Gucci
Force
ones.
Ones?
Yeah.
Dude, I wear work boots all day, man. That's it.
So when the Air
What's your
Force
pair?
Ones first came out, they were like marketed. They were marketed as skateboard sneakers, and then basketball players started wearing them. Then they just became
Oh,
more
really?
traditional streetwear sneakers. Yeah, that's what happened.
I bet Timmy Morris had some Air Force Ones.
You gonna holler at him and see if he had a band-aid under his eye too.
Was there a time? Was there a time in your friendship where he called you dirty all the time?
Fucking dirty old bastard.
No, just dirty.
Just dirty.
Dude, Timmy was the professional skateboarder, man. That guy was fucking crazy. Yeah, you wait until you talk with him. But I bet Andy fucking peddled some Air Force Ones in his day. Andy used to sell sneakers on the internet to the IRS.
Andy used to look like he used to sell fake Air Force Ones.
Andy had the real shit.
Smuggling rings.
Andy used to sell sneakers that were like 10, 15 grand a pop.
Wow, for real?
Yeah, fucking he'll tell you. I'm surprised that didn't come up.
Travis did too. Travis, because back in Memphis, Travis' family used to steal a little bit of everything. So he used to always have shoes for sale too.
I don't understand why that had to come into the conversation. I've never had that conversation with you a day in my life. I've never had that conversation with you a day in my life.
Everybody in Memphis does. You get the Nike factory discount, quote unquote.
Andy was in the sneaker game big time. He was a big mover.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is like pre-COVID.
Dude, this is when he was like 14 years old, dude. His somehow he opened up like an account where he was selling this shit online, and like I think was he doing PayPal or something else?
He was selling fake kicks, James.
No, he was selling real shit.
No, I know what you're talking about. They 1% of shoes.
No, they weren't fake. He would go to big shows, man. There'd be like conventions and shit that he'd show up with a pair of sneakers like that's worth like 20 grand. Yeah, ask him about it. Ask Andy about it. Fucking kid's crazy.
I can see Andy being the guy that has like those expensive Rockefeller Air Force Ones. And him being like, yeah, man, that was so like
that was nice. It's a nice quality of leather.
I can't believe Andy's not sending you pictures right now.
That pair of shoes was like given out by Jay-Z, like when they dropped the last album, the Black Album, and like this was like one of the most sought out pairs of sneakers ever. But nobody can really afford them.
You got the Virgil Louboutins.
He probably did.
What happened to Virgil?
He probably had the Eminem ones, the Eminem Air Force Ones.
No, the Eminem 4s. The Jordan 4s.
No, there was Eminem Air Force Ones. No, you're right. There was Eminem 4s. Those days, they were 4s. You're right.
Got,
But yeah,
got some
so
car
we
hot for us.
it's a car force. So we got about 10 minutes left, James. You got anything else you want to go over?
What do you
What
guys
made
want to
you?
talk about?
What made you start making your I know you're a carpenter, but what made you start making your wood? Because
You
man, I
mean
was showing somebody your cages. I was showing somebody your cages the other day, and it's magnificent, man. It's all the same color and it's perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah, I mean, I started, doing the woodworking out of necessity, and that's how I started getting into the furniture making and carpentry. But I started making enclosures because there was nothing that I could find that I wanted to buy that was worth it. So I started the wood enclosures,
I
and
make my own cages.
yeah, I made my own shit, and I like the way they are. And then I started like, well, let's try to do the PVC stuff. So I started like a couple of different prototypes. Um, so like I'm on the third round of prototypes with the PVC, and the ones that I have now are like the final product. Like I think they're gonna be perfect. So once I get
Red.
everything is like CNC'd now. I have building Andy a dozen adult sized enclosures, like a whole wall of adult enclosures out of PVC. They're half inch. Just the right, everything for them for adult green trees.
You
So
plan on building some, making some available for the public or what?
I'm going to, but I'm waiting to either I'm. It's gonna probably be a couple of maybe like 2 or 3 months, because what I want to do is either purchase the proper CNC equipment, or I'm going to see if I can get a local guy that I know to see if he can do the CNC work for me for a decent price. Because right now, the excuse me, the price on PVC is crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. So like,
well, everything is now.
yeah, but it's like really bad. Like I was getting the PVC for like $75 a sheet for half inch, and after COVID now it's $125 a sheet.
So I had that same issue, like here in San Antonio, like it was hard to find PVC, and I had to find an actual plastics place, and they had a shitload of it in the warehouse, and they were just like, nobody calls us and asks us for it. So I was like, how much do you want a sheet? They're like $80 a sheet for
No,
half-inch black PVC. I was
I
like,
can't.
I'll be back.
Yeah,
I'll fucking be back.
it's hard to get the black PVC over here. It's more money than the white PVC.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's crazy. The black is more expensive than the white. That's crazy.
yeah, they add some dye, and it's the fucked up thing is that all this PVC,
So the black don't crack, James.
it don't crack. Yo, it's all this shit is made out of old Pepsi bottles, and it's like we all of our recycling that we have to fucking recycle here is like all that plastic goes to China as recycling, and then our recycled pellets get sold back to us as PVC for like a shit ton of money. That's how they make,
That's
yeah,
how the fuck America works.
yeah, that's how they fucking make it, man. And like the only way I think that I could potentially get a better price point, because I need to figure out a price point, but it's hard because I want it to be as cheap as possible for people, so people will buy it. I mean, I think it's going to be I mean, my enclosures, the stuff that I've been building, they have proven results. So I mean, for the last like 14 years, I've produced green tree pythons in these enclosures consistently. So they work. So, but you still got to try to get the price point down as much as you can. So between either me getting the PVC for a cheaper price, or for trying to get the equipment to try to do it all in house, the thing is that it's so retarded today that it's probably cheaper to have it outsourced to Mexico to get the PVC just cut and shipped to me as panels. But I don't really want to do that. I'd rather do it all here, because things start to slip when you do that.
I think you're not utilizing your the one resource that you constantly have access to, and that is you have your own minion named Andy. So I think you need to make Andy do a bunch of this work.
Andy ain't doing none of that shit. Andy's ready to Andy'll invest. He doesn't want to be nobody's minion.
Andy is a minion. He just doesn't want to admit it. He's a minion. Andy is a minion, and you've done a poor job, and you've given Andy way too much credit, and his self-esteem is too high. And you need to knock Andy down.
Are you cutting Andy down a bit?
I think that you cut Andy down tonight more than I ever could.
You're like fucking Mr. Miyagi, man. You're like fucking sweep the leg, Daniel.
Yeah. What's Pimp Throne looking down on everybody?
Sweep leg.
You gotta hit Andy with a stick more often than a kendo stick.
Oh my god.
Trav gonna be a pimp cane.
No, Andy does. Andy helps out, man. Andy's a good egg.
We love Andy. Can't wait to get Andy back over here again.
Fucking Andy.
You need to wake his ass up and show up.
Fucking crackhead.
Crackhead. If he was a crackhead, he'd be awake right now.
If you gave him crack, if you gave Andy crack, he wouldn't say no.
Yo, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a joke.
I'd be like, record show,
what are you
I did not call Andy a saltine earlier. James called him a saltine. I did not call it. I did not say that on the
show. Was Andy behaving over at Tinley?
Yeah, he was. Andy's a wonderful guy to talk to.
He was behaving himself?
Yeah.
He had his what's his name? His Ivy League sweater on. He was on his best behavior.
He like a young soccer dad on the weekends.
Nah, he looked like a professional golfer.
Yeah, right out of Harvard.
Yeah, the PGA Tour. He's like, guys, I don't mean to brag, but I shot a 62 on the back nine.
Andy looks like a young husband who just realized that his wife that came from a good family is actually an alcoholic. That's how Andy looks.
God damn it.
You said he looked like he married somebody named Jenny.
Jenny, why are you a whore?
All right, so you got any shout outs you want to give before we get up out of here?
Just to those crazy fuckers that I usually hang out with, fucking Tommy Exotic, fucking Water Sports Andy. Tommy
Exotic is Tommy Budway, right?
Yeah, Tommy Budway. Tommy Exotic. You got to call up Tommy Exotic. He'll be like, I'm Rick James, bitch. He fucking loves that.
Oh, him and Chubbs got a lot in common.
Oh, what's that?
Him and Chubbs got a lot in common. They like to slap people.
What is that? What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean?
Nothing.
Fucking Chappelle, man.
Yeah.
Who have you ever seen me slap? Like, tell me.
Slap a bitch.
Who have you seen me slap?
Are you last of the Smackahoe Indians?
What the
fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
It's a whole tribe of them. It's a damn breed. Trav is the last ones from North Memphis.
Oh, man.
He come from back here, James. He come from back here.
Oh.
From behind the ear.
Nah. I come from my hip. I go up with it.
Oh, okay.
You twist at the waist, right?
He learned that in kindergarten.
I bend my knee.
The mean feature strays it.
I bend my right knee and dip. Then it's straight to the top from there.
Gorilla style. Get it straight gorilla.
Man, I hope my mom never sees
you'll
this
have
shit.
Timmy the Legend Morris on soon, right? When's Timmy coming on?
He will be here next week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You got to get Tommy's sorry ass on here.
We don't know Tommy. If we knew Tommy, we'd get him here.
I think I tried to get Tommy. I don't think Tommy want to get on.
Yeah.
You got to just call him up like on a Friday night at 9:00.
He ain't on the gorilla yet. I'm gonna stick Trav on him. You know what I'm saying? Trav got away with words. You know, Trav got away. You know, the gentleman of leisure, they got away with words and like talking people out of like money and stuff.
So like, I have this opportunity for you. I mean, for me.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, listen here, brother Budway. You know how you gonna do.
That's what brother Keno, brother Budway, brother James. I was talking.
Yeah, that's why he's like, listen here, brother James.
We gotta just get. I think Andy and I are heading down in like a month or so down to Tommy's and help him do some work on his house. We'll just pin him down one night.
Yeah.
Be like, yo, man, you got to go on this show.
Tell Tommy to get on there. Tell Tommy to come on the Chondro Bar Room, man.
The idea of being pinned down by James Opdahl and Andy is fucking scary.
Tommy's the fucking that's the trifecta of debauchery right there.
What the fuck?
Oh my god. You haven't seen anything, man. You don't even know.
No, you ain't seen Travis. You ain't seen Travis in action.
Get Tim on the show and ask Tim about it. He'll be like, "Oh my god, those fucking idiots."
I'm gonna ask Tim about what you told us about earlier. I'm gonna ask him about what you told us about earlier.
I think we broke Tim.
Well, we'll see Tim.
Yeah, we broke Tim.
I'll pull up on Tim next week.
Yeah.
Well,
Tim
we
will
appreciate
have so
you.
much to show. He'll have so much to tell you, man. Like the maternal incubation and all about the beginning of the blue lines and stuff like that. Like, such a trove of information there.
Now you did too, James. Though I'm gonna be on the lookout for your enclosures too. What size enclosures you plan on?
I'll keep you guys posted.
What size you plan on making?
I got the adult green tree enclosures are like 30-inch wide, 20 deep. I think they're about 22 tall. The thing is, I make them stackable, so there's a gap. There's a space for the herpstat to fit right in. Everything is streamlined, super clean. Not too much over venting, which it seems to be a trend with a lot of these enclosures. They have huge vents everywhere, and I don't think you need all that so much. If you have an ambient room, it can be better, but I think you need to either go with 1/2 inch or 3/4 PVC depending on the size of the enclosure and the R values on 1/2 inch. That thin material isn't, unless you're running ambient temps for the room, it's not helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on all that shit, and probably not too far off now.
Well, we definitely gonna have you back again, James. We're gonna make you bring. We're gonna make you bring Andy. You gotta
we'll get Andy. We'll get Andy.
We'll do father-son duo. Well, that's been it. That's been it for the Chondro Bar Room this week.
Yeah.
We really appreciate James for coming through.
For really appreciating it. Pulling up on
us, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you got to come back, James. You got to come back.
Yeah, I'll come back, man. It was good talking to you guys, man. I had a good time.
Well, we appreciate it. But that's us for the Chondro Bar Room this week. Y'all take care.
Till next week. Peace,
all right, buddies. Peace.
Hey, shout out to our sponsor, by the way, Chris and the Bison 3D.
Have a good night, guys.